What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Hello Human Storytime. Today's guest is actually the host of Hello Human Storytime.
Hello, human. Hello, human. Hi, Anna.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah?
So we're just doing a check-in.
Yeah, this is just a check-in. This is also before the baby was born.
Right.
I did ask people to send me questions because I attempted to record episode 3, right?
Yep.
And it was a heavy episode. And I wasn't able to do it.
Yeah.
I realized that I needed to have certain conversations with certain people before filming the episode. And so I did film the episode, but watching it back, I was like, I was waffling.
Right.
And I just realized I didn't have the freedom to talk about what I wanted to talk about in the way I wanted to talk about it. And it's very important to me that in these episodes, in the things that we talk about and stuff, even though I'm telling you guys stories about my life,
Right.
I really want everything to point to Jesus. Like, it has to have some sort of moral of the, so what's the moral of the story? And it has to point to Jesus. And so I feel like if I don't do that well in an episode, I'm not posting it and we're scratching it and we're going to start again. Or I'm going to address what I need to address and start again. And so I guess that will now be episode 4. But I was like, why don't I come back and do something lighthearted, considering that, I've been away, had the baby. You guys sent me the questions. I was not able to answer them. So Nana has all the questions.
Yeah.
And he's basically going to ask me some of the questions that you guys asked. I'm going to answer them.
Yeah.
However, before that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Speaking of baby, now the baby is here.
She is.
How are you adjusting? How are you adapting to this new phase of life?
It's been really interesting. It's been, I think the first 2 weeks of her life, I was in keep her alive mode. It was more like cute baby alive. Babies do really weird stuff. Like, sometimes they forget to breathe. They just kind of, and you're like, But I think the good news is that, like, because I've looked after so many children,
Right.
I can't count how many children I've looked after, and I have 17 nephews and nieces. So AZ is granddaughter or grandchild number 18.
18.
To my parents. When David came to the hospital, my brother David came to the hospital. He saw her in the little bucket thing that they put the babies in. He said,
"Hello, number 18."
Hello, number 18. So number 18. So I was so it helps that I've looked after other children before, because when I would see that, I wouldn't panic. But at the same time too, like, she's my child and I'm watching her choke. So it's kind of like, what the heck is happening? So I feel like I process things very slowly. I've come to realize that that's a thing, that maybe I need to unpack in life, maybe with a therapist. But things kind of hit me in delayed, like I have delayed reactions to things. So I was definitely in that just motion of keep her alive. And I think it was week 3 or 4 that I said to Nana, I was like, I like her a lot more now.
I was like, huh? What do you mean you like her? I think that question,
Statement,
that statement threw me off a bit. I was like, oh. But it makes sense because of how she was thinking about it. Like, just we're both getting used to our daughter, and she's here, and we're like, oh, so.
Yeah. So I was like, I like her a lot more now, because I think I was out of that just like survival mode, recovering from the birth, learning to breastfeed. Like, there's just so much you're doing all at the same time, not sleeping, like 4 hours in a row, all the things, all of that, all at one time. You're just like, I feel like it's autopilot. So by week 3 or 4, whenever it was, I just kind of looked at her and I was just kind of like, oh, like, just cute little person. And then I was like, oh, I like her more now. But I think it's because my emotions had come in from wherever they were. They kind of took their time to show up. So, how are you adjusting?
I'm doing well. And I think that's because you're doing an amazing job, at being a mother. One of the things that I'm really grateful for is the fact that you have experience with caring for kids. And so that's translated very well into how you're looking after AZ for us. I'm coming in with not much. I don't have a lot of experience in this department. So there are a lot of things that I'm learning,
Yes, but I must say, you're doing a fantastic job of learning quickly.
Thank you.
Like right off the bat, Nana was happy to attempt a diaper change. Just jump in, feed the baby, hold the baby, all the things. Like he wasn't like, I feel like I know some guys that would be like, oh my God,
Like,
poo,
I don't want to change the diaper.
poo,
Who's gonna do it?
poo. But he isn't like that. I really appreciate it. Thank Jesus. I think the only thing you haven't attempted yet is bath time.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be the next.
I've been observing. So,
yeah.
I think.
No, one time you held her in the. Yeah. So it's just.
But I haven't done a.
Like the full thing. Yeah. So I feel like once you. When the day that you do it yourself, it will be fine. Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, we bought a camera. Yay! So yeah. When we did the first 2 episodes, we were using phones.
Yeah.
It was long, like the memory kept finishing all the things, but we were like, why don't we invest into this venture, and actually get a camera.
Right.
So we might have potentially sacrificed a trip to Europe. Or maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But
listen, God always provides.
To get this camera. So that's another thing. We're going to jump into, do you have anything else to say before we jump into the questions?
No.
Okay, well, we'll jump into these questions and hope that baby AZ doesn't wake up.
Okay.
As we are.
If she does, she's going to be.
She's going to join in the video.
Yeah. So we have, quite a few questions coming from. We're going to leave, the names anonymous. So just going to jump straight into it. Let's start with this one. This is on a light note. Do you still run your hair salon business?
Oh my God, no. So for those that don't know, I had a natural hair salon in Ghana for maybe like 2 years. God, I don't know what year it was. Maybe 2016, 2017. Probably 16 to 18 then, because I started transitioning into the UK around 18. But yeah, I had a natural hair salon, and it was in Nungwa, Accra. And it was flourishing, honestly. But my waist, I'm listening to me. So
my waist couldn't take it.
Translation. Yeah, so eventually I was like, it's cool. Oh, that's what I was going to say before we started. I was going to say that, this whole thing of like a couple's YouTube channel and whatnot. Yeah. I was going to do the next episode by myself. But honestly, guys, in this season of life, I felt like I need a lot of moral support. And so I was like, I actually don't want to do the video myself. Yeah. So you know what, Nana, just come and be in the video with me.
Right.
Yes, I've been in a very emotionally kind of place. And so I understand. I felt like I needed my comfort blankie. So
thank you for having me.
I don't know which episode you see me by myself. That was the you said thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. You're welcome, babe. Okay, go ahead. Next question.
Next question. Are worship set lists made in your music team in church?
Is that like...
Is it just a general...
Okay, let me answer how we do it. So we do plan the music ahead of time. The church uses a platform called Planning Center. And we basically put all the music that we're going to be doing. The plan is to have everything in advance. The plan is to schedule people in advance. So like weeks ahead, people know what they're singing, they're doing and everything. Okay. And we do have set lists. So we will plan that we're singing this song, that song. Sometimes we'll try and align it with the message, the theme, whatever Pastor Vic is preaching on for maybe 4 weeks, 3 weeks, however many weeks it is. Mm-hmm. We'll try and align it with it. But sometimes that doesn't always work because you can't always find songs that sometimes go with certain topics and things. And then we also have like things that can happen spontaneously in service. Yeah, so the answer, I guess, is yes. Like, we plan stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would want to shout out Jasmine. Jasmine does a wickedly fantastic job of, holding down the fort, of like the scheduling and all that stuff and some of the nitty-gritties. And I kind of overview all the stuff and make sure that the ship is running well.
Yeah. So speaking of, being a music director, worship director, this is a good follow-up question. Are you a full-time musician, or do you have a day job along with ministry? If yes, how do you balance?
A long question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my day job is worship director. By God's grace, I get to have a job doing something along the lines of music, and I love music, so that's a good thing. However, I'm not going to lie to you guys, the job did come with all these other things, like the amount of emails that I have to send and respond to. We do things like audit sheets to keep up with the numbers and the team. There's just things, meetings. We have a lot of meetings going. We do like Sunday recap, meetings with the worship teams. Like, what did we do well? What did we do well? I have my one-on-one check-ins with my boss. There's just a lot of things. There's a lot of meetings that kind of takes up the week. And then there's also planning. There's also learning the music. There's teaching the music. So all that stuff goes into it. So I wouldn't say that I'm a full-time musician for myself anymore, or a full-time artist. But I kind of do it all together, all alongside each other. If anything, I think, especially being like getting married, moving country, marriage, baby, I definitely, like, I came into this and it was really difficult to be organized, because I think being my own boss for the longest time meant that I could do things whenever I wanted. I could record a project when I wanted, put it out when I wanted, post on social media when I wanted, respond to people when I wanted. Like, everything was just when it was on my own time, at my own pace. But coming into this and being responsible for a team, things had to shift, and now I'm responsible for other people and I can't do it on my own time.
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie, that was a challenge for me, and that was difficult, and I felt like I was drowning. And honestly, shout out to Pastor Vic once again, because, he helped me to kind of, what do you do in your job? Like, write it out, and then just helps me make a daily plan. And that's I'm so grateful for that, because all of a sudden it was like, oh, I can breathe.
Yeah.
I actually don't even do that much. It's just that I didn't have a plan. No, let me take that back. I do much, but it wasn't as overwhelming as I felt it was once we structured it all out. It was like, okay, we're going to use these days for this, these days for this, these days for this, and then start work at that time, finish at this, and it just really helps me to be organized and to be balanced. And I think I could definitely do way better with it. With like my own stuff, I think now, because I kind of put that stuff on a back burner so that I could understand the job, be consistent, understand people. Also, for someone who's been introverted for the longest time, I know people don't see me as an introvert, but that's your own business. When it comes to having to, it is, because we go back and forth. Oh my God, you're not an introvert because you're so funny and loud, and just because you see me on social media and when I'm out and about, but I would say I'm less introverted than I have been in life. Being married to this sweet man over here and stuff, like, I think those moments, I think I've had less of those moments where I'm just quiet, even, if you've noticed. So that's the thing, having to like keep up with people, talk to people. Like, I had spent a lot of years just honestly being in my own little bubble. So now having to like interact with people, see how they're doing, pray with them, check up on them, has been a challenge, and has actually pinpointed out to me some like insecurities that I even had in myself, of being adequate enough in that way for the role and the job and stuff. And I feel like all of those things are like coming to light, and God is helping me work through those things to be more of an efficient human being, creative, leader, wife, mom, all the things. So I think that answers the latter part of the question. Like, how have I been handling all of it?
Right.
There's some parts that I've not been handling well, and there's other things that I'm still learning and still kind of putting it all together.
Okay, that's good. How did you know that God was calling you into ministry?
What all the questions are ministry? Are you the one? Yeah, the one doing it.
I'm just trying to,
create a thread.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then jump to the next
All
category.
right, cool. How did I know God was calling me into ministry? I don't believe that God ever called me into, like, to be a musician. I don't remember the one time that I was given a word that Niiella, God said, be a singer. Maybe it did, but sometimes my memory is fried. I know it was more like you're going to travel the world and God is going to use you to touch people. And I know that it was not just like music alone. It was music, it's speaking, it's just, all the things. Oh my God, guys, just fix your husband's, shirt as we're talking.
Thank you. Sweet.
It's cool. You're good. Sit down. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just the shirt. It just keeps increasing. Anyway, this is made by God. It's literally by the company made by God.
Shout outs to Made by God MBG.
Yes,
Appreciate you, bro.
We decided to wear that and rep for this video. What was I saying? Yeah, so I know that like there's more that I'm supposed to be doing, and I definitely had been running away from that for the longest time because once again, introvert means I have to talk to people and let people in and all this stuff. And one thing that I have come to realize is, and I think when at church we were doing the Bible series, talking about the Bible, studying the Bible, reading the Bible. And one of the things I believe Pastor Vic said is people are more likely to share the word of God when they are reading their word consistently. And then also if you're reading your word more than, 4 times a week, it makes a significant difference in your life. And one thing that I've come to realize is that whenever I am consistent with my time with God, I am more likely going to post a video, talk about something, share something that's on my heart or that God has revealed to me, or even want to do any of the things that God has asked me to do. Anytime I fall out of that place where I'm being consistent, quiet time, all the things, whatnot, I really don't want to talk to anybody. I don't, and I've realized that that's a pattern. And so that's something that I've realized in myself. And now I'm having to work on it and be consistent, because otherwise I'm happy to just sit here and honestly not do anything, which is so ridiculous. Hey guys, as you can see, we were joined by baby AZ over here. So we took a little break, but we're back.
Say to the people.
Now I'm sleeping. There's so many things that I can do, and sometimes annoyingly very, very well. But anytime I'm not in that place where I'm constantly engaging with God, quiet time and all the things, I just don't want to do stuff. And I'm quite unproductive is what I'm saying.
Right.
So I find that I have to do that to be productive and to be consistent. And so that's the thing.
Okay. I saw a question about how did you balance being pregnant and also making time for your devotion, quiet time?
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I think I failed at that one quite a bit. In the beginning of the pregnancy, I was doing quite. I think I was. Had I finished reading the Bible in a year?
Yeah.
At the beginning. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. But yeah, I was doing pretty well. I was journaling. I was keeping up with the word. I was reading and all the things. But I must say that. Hello. Sorry. I must say that being... I'm going to leave that in the video. I wasn't sure if the audio was recording. Yeah, anyway. I must say that being pregnant and just the fatigue... Listen, guys, the fatigue, je suis fatigué, was so... it had me wrecked. So, in the mornings, in the evenings, at the times that I would usually spend, I was always in a frenzy going to the office. Always. It was so bad. So at some point, I resorted to listening to the audio Bible to at least get some dosage of the word into my system. And that's something that I really didn't do well with. And, whenever I get pregnant again in this life, that's something that I really want to make sure that I do a better job with. I mean, I think I kind of relied heavily on listening to more worship music and stuff, but actually sitting down to study, God help me, it was awful. I didn't do a good job, if I can be honest. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you and say that, it was powerful and it was, I was dedicated. I was kavine and I was compassionate. But no, I didn't do a good job, and that's the honest truth. And something that being pregnant has also taught me is, with God, there is literally no formula. Because sometimes you might think that, okay, reading the word and doing reading the Bible in a year worked for me. Some of you have heard me talk about daily declarations from even some of the other episodes. the daily declarations, like, oh, I'm just gonna write stuff on there and it's just gonna work for me because it worked for me in a particular season. And God taught me that is not the case. Literally, you have to spend time with God every single day, because He's going to communicate in different ways. He's going to show you different methods, and the same thing doesn't work always in every single season. Otherwise, it just becomes mundane, and it becomes like, so you might watch one of these videos and think, oh well, Niiella had daily declarations, and so I'm just going to do the same. If you don't feel convicted, like if the Holy Spirit is not using this story to convict you to do that, and even that would be unique to whatever you're going through or whoever you are.
Exactly.
But if you watch this and just think to yourself, I'm just going to do what Niiella did because it's going to work for me, it's not going to work. That's not how it works. I'm just sharing my testimony because I know it's going to resonate with some people. Some aspects of it is going to resonate with some people. Some aspects is not going to resonate at all. And that's just like the stories in the Bible. Certain characters stand out to me more. Certain characters may stand out to you more. Right. In another season, a different character may stand out to me more, and a different character may stand to, and it's just you have to keep it rolling, keep spending time with God and all the things. So yeah, man, I did trash. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Next question.
You didn't do trash, babe. You didn't do trash.
Could have been better. Could have been better,
This one is still about pregnancy. Let's see. How did you deal with moods in pregnancy? I guess I can also add another question with this, paired it with how was your overall experience with pregnancy?
Okay. How did I deal with moods?
Yeah.
Nana? Was I moody?
No, you didn't have any moods. You didn't.
Yeah, I didn't really have any mood swings. I feel like I don't have mood swings in general. Like, even when it comes to, like, the time of the month and stuff, like, I know some people who literally, like, up and down sort of thing. That's not something that I would say that I experience. Right. I experience other things, guys. But no, I don't experience that. So even in pregnancy, that's not something that, if anything, I feel like the fatigue would sometimes just have me quiet. Like, I wake up in the morning, I'm just like, I haven't slept properly. So I'm just kind of, but I'm not moody. Like, if you talk to me, I would, if I have to respond, I'll talk back. Yeah, so no, I didn't, that's not something I can really answer. How was the overall experience? Mm-hmm. Well, it only took, I actually wrote down all the things that I dealt with in pregnancy. So it only took bloating in the first trimester, gas from hell in the first trimester. He's laughing because he was a recipient of that gas. Indigestion.
Recipient of gas. It's crazy.
Indigestion, carpal tunnel, excessive skin tags. So I ended up growing skin tags on my face, on my neck, in my armpits, just in random places, guys. Skin tags, excessive skin tags, extra stretch marks around my waist area, swollen feet at the very, very, very end. And the right foot was more swollen than the left foot. At one point, I didn't want him anywhere near me. I didn't want to smell him. That's the thing that people actually go through. This is not even anything to do with Nana. Yeah, like, I know some other pregnant people as well that, like, at least, some people literally are sick when their husband comes in. At least I wasn't sick, by God's grace.
Thank God.
But yeah, I craved a lot of African food, like home food, West African food, so Ghanaian food, Nigerian food. In the first trimester, I ate pepper as if somebody was paying me, like spice. I wanted my head to be burning, blowing off. I ate so much yam and pepper and shito and sardine and kenke. I hate kenke. I ate kenke straight for like 2 weeks when I first got pregnant.
This is true.
And kenke, shito, and fried egg. At one point, it was buffalo wings. I just wanted buffalo wings. And then I wanted oranges and orange juice. So I craved orange juice a lot. And oranges, I would just cut them into and just, At a point, I slept propped up. I've written here, je suis fatiguée. Yep. Honestly, so tired. Crazy baby brain syndrome. At one point, I put the pot in the microwave. I waited for Nana to pick me up from work, but I drove myself to work. So what was I waiting for? Only God knows. And then one time I was trying to drive to work, but I was driving home because I put the wrong address in. And then my voice got a bit croaky at the end because of like the fatigue, So these are all the experiences that I had because of, That's how my pregnancy was, guys. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. What are or were some of your biggest fears, worries about becoming a mom?
Repeating things that I didn't like growing up. Growing up, I was a very quiet kid, and I feel like because there were so many siblings, the louder kids kind of got more attention, but not even necessarily more attention. I guess I would just say that they were paid attention to more because they were being loud. I don't know. I think when I was younger, I would have liked more affection. I would have liked more hugs. I would have liked more, like, hey, how are you? Like, are you okay? Even as a little child, I would have liked to be asked certain questions for me to learn how to voice, like to talk and voice what was going on in my head. Because what happened is I created a pattern of internalizing things. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a fear, but it's something that I'm looking out for with baby AZ to just, I guess, even from young, first of all, what kind of personality does she have? I'm, curious to see how that unfolds. She seems to have a strong will. I think we'll say that from now, which I'm proud of, So, I know people say, well, you'll be proud of it now until they start butting heads with you. All right, cool, we'll figure it out when we get there. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have any negative feelings towards, if my child is similar to me in that sense, like she's got a strong will and she's quite tough and everything, that because of that we will butt heads. That doesn't have to be the case, It can be great. Of course, we're human, so we're not going to see eye to eye on certain things, but we don't have to be fighting. Right. But yeah, I'm curious to see what her personality is like and what she's going to need. I want to hear what her thoughts are. I want to know who she is, instead of just be like, you're a kid, so do this because I told you to do it. Like, I'm curious for that. But so I wouldn't really say that I had fears like that, but there's things that I'm interested in to do better, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. This one says, how has it been adapting to the US lifestyle?
This is a crazy place. This is a crazy place. Okay? Insurance is high. We've been talking about things like deductibles and HSA, so many things, and I don't know how it works, and I have to make phone calls and speak to people. I don't even know what I'm saying to them. Sometimes I have to get Nana to write down what questions am I supposed to be asking them, how should I ask the questions, and in America, they just try and catch you out for anything so they can take more money because it's a crazy place, and everything is just, nothing makes sense to me, and everything is expensive, and the other day we were buying like Air Forces, and I just didn't understand why they're so expensive. They're more expensive. I shop from the children's section from JD in the UK. I don't know why I'm paying so much money for Nike shoes. Like, I don't understand that. Yeah. And clothing is expensive. If you want, like, everything is just $100 plus. Just be willing to spend more than $100. And I just don't understand that. Like, everything's really expensive. Groceries expensive. Everything's expensive. It's expensive.
Yeah. And the current administration is not helping.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that because that's where people start getting riled up, and before you know it, people are saying, "Oh my God, as a Christian, why did you vote?" And who? I'm British. Leave me. Anyway, the Bible says that we should pray for our leaders, so that's what I'm gonna say. Yeah. But yeah, man, this place is different, man. Everything is just, I'm always confused. Even with food, sometimes I'm like, what's this? Things have different names. Like in the UK, yeah, we have a rocket, guys. Rocket out here. They'll say arugula. What is wrong with you? Arugula.
Say it again.
Rocket. Arugula.
The way we say
arugula. Even she's laughing. Oh my God. Yeah, so this place, I don't think I've paid so many bills as an adult before. It's all mad.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, let's do one more question. Or maybe two more.
Okay. Let's see. Let me find a good one. How did you handle transitioning into a wife? What were some challenges?
One of the things that I struggled with. What, do you want to answer that? Is there anything that you feel like I struggled with? Maybe just having another human being around.
Yeah.
And things happening different. Like, you're gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say some of the little quirks, like.
Oh my God,
chewing.
So I have a serious case of what we call misophonia, however you say that word. So when it comes to like hearing people chew, sniff all the time, or like Yeah, man, I've suffered, and and I know it's not intentional on Nana's part. Bless you, dear husband. In my family, like my dad, I feel like my grandma was also kind of like that. My siblings and stuff. We don't want to hear chewing, even to the point that what we would do around the dining table is we would play music so that we wouldn't have to hear each other chewing, swallowing, drinking, slurping, all the things. And I'm also like very mindful of that, but other people don't care. So even though I'm being mindful, other people don't care. They're just chewing however they're chewing. And not to say that Nana is out here chewing like a mountain lion. That's not the case. But just the fact that I can hear it, even if his mouth is closed, if I can hear mastication, I can hear like the saliva, like the wetness of the food moving from this side to this side.
Mixture happening.
I cannot. I had to pray about it. And I think it's gotten better. Nana must have made the mistake of saying, "Oh, don't worry, babe, it'll get better." I was really upset because I was like, what do you mean it's gonna, oh, don't worry, it'll get better. Like, this is actually a thing. Like, it's a real thing. And I think it took him a while to understand that it was a real thing. And he even went to go do some research on it and was like, oh, wow, this is a real thing. And I was like, I've been trying to tell you it's a real thing. Yeah. Like, you see me to be a joker, So that was something that I really, really, really had to adjust to. That's one of the big ones. What else?
Would you say you've had any, and this is a different question, but we just sneak this in there. Would you say you've had any, like, shock you realizations about marriage?
Is that what the person wrote?
Yes.
I mean, there's certain things that we've had to learn about each other, like how different we are. Right. Like, we understand finances different. Not now. I would say right now. Yeah. We've worked through those kinks to the point that, like, we are in a good place with things like that. But Nana is like, so in our counseling, Nana was a spender and I am a saver, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that Nana's out here just throwing money at the wind. Yeah. But I feel like with just the way he's so kind, Nana's more likely to buy stuff for people, to like show up for people. I'm not saying I don't want to show up for you, but like if I ain't got money to be there, I don't see why I should come. Whereas Nana would inconvenience himself out of kindness to be there. Me, I don't have that level of kindness. I'll say all the best and stay in the house. And then, we realized that I like to stack money and see it sitting there, whereas Nana has like a different view of how money is and whatnot. And that was something that we had to kind of like work together until we came to, a point. And Nana has four pairs of the same Crocs, but in different colors. Why is that?
Just different colors.
Yeah, but two of them are the same color.
For different fits.
Yeah, but two of them are the same color.
Do I really?
Yes, so you gave one to me. You justified it by saying, oh, babe, you can have one. But you bought it before you met me. So why do you have two pairs of the same thing?
I don't know.
Okay, well, there you go. So these are some of the things that we kind of had to, talk about when it came to marriage. Shocking. I feel like the money thing was a big one. And I think it's because of the time that it happened. It was also around the time that we found out we were pregnant. And I think kind of some of all these realizations all happened at the same time. And it was overwhelming.
Emotions.
It was very, very, very overwhelming. It was like, whoa. What did I sign up for?
Yeah.
But at the same time, so I was like, you know what, God? If this is the person you gave me, you know why you gave him to me. And I must say that, like, in this day and age, a lot of people obviously kind of want something that's already... the guy's already rich, the guy's already whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think when you meet someone who is kind and willing, dear husband, kind and willing, and nothing is happening out of malice, I think sometimes we just kind of think like, if the other person doesn't have something together or doesn't understand something a certain way, you just kind of brush over, you move on, whatever. But I think sometimes having someone who has a heart that's postured in a certain way is better than just having someone that's rich. Because you could be with someone that's rich and they're so mean and stingy with their money. But you could be with someone who doesn't have that much money, but they're so kind and giving and loving and all the things. And so you work together to kind of build your empire together because you know that like you'll always be safe with this person who kind of puts you before money or puts you before all those materialistic things. And I can say that about Nana, like he's just a really kind person. So even though we realized that there were certain things we needed to work through and whatever, he was so open to us getting external help to basically get like extra
Advice,
financial
counseling.
advice, stroke counseling, stroke all of that for us to be able to, learn. And the thing is, I found that interesting as well because I'm the one that actually reached out to the couple that basically help us with that, Sari and John, first, right? And I feel like if somebody else's ego was huge, it might have been like, why did you go and tell someone about like, our finances? Initially, when we first had one of the conversations and kind of compiled, all the things that needed to be paid off and, some students, loans and whatnot. Yeah. I remember that day you were really, really quiet. You went to the shower, you were quiet. You were just quiet. And I was just like...
Yeah, I think it was a lot of processing for me. And like you said, leaving my ego at the door and realizing, okay, this is not about me anymore. This is about us. So whatever feelings that I have against this, maybe I should view this differently, and see this as a positive for us, and it has been a positive. We're very grateful for, John and Sari for just being patient and
being amazing.
Being amazing.
Like, just phenomenal, honestly.
And we have seen, results. We've seen results. And for me, I think it's changed the way that I think about money and I see money. Even certain habits that I would in the past, just randomly splurge, without thinking. Like now I'm, looking at money by the cent. It costs me that much.
Just being more mindful. Being very, very mindful in that sense, I think has been really great. And I think maybe we should do an episode where we really talk about finances, maybe, because I feel like that's something that a lot of young people right now obviously just want people to be. I'm just going to get in a relationship with someone who's just rich.
And we're not knocking down like.
Of course, no. But
rich,
everyone. The point is, every man isn't rich. When
you meet them,
and if we,
or woman,
every man, every woman isn't. Thank you for fixing all my politically incorrect symbols. But every man isn't rich, every woman isn't rich, everyone doesn't have it together. But a lot of people are, because our parents didn't leave us, or were not able to leave us something, or they did the best that they could. And so it's not like we're not bad people.
Right.
We just haven't had the opportunity to accrue certain things, right? Or to amass certain...
We didn't have trust funds.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have trust funds. That doesn't make me an incompetent partner. That doesn't make me an incompetent business person. That doesn't make me unable to now amass wealth.
You just haven't had that.
I just haven't had that opportunity. Exposure opportunity. So even being open to speak to other couples who have done it, that helps, and it's not just about just having something that's kind of baked straight off the bat. But I mean, if that's what you want and you want to keep searching, I mean, we can't tell people what to do. Mm-hmm. But basically what we're saying is that it's very doable to build with someone, and it doesn't have to look difficult. Because when you say build with someone, sometimes you're thinking to yourself, hey, when?
Right.
Like, when, God? And I know I'm going to tell you guys a full circle moment of right before the wedding. I had a stack of a certain amount of money just kind of piled up that I was, I'm a saver. I like to stare at money. So I had this money piled up and I basically was just staring at it. And as the wedding was getting closer, I realized that we hadn't paid for certain things, And I would speak to Nana and I'm like, we haven't taken care of this, we haven't taken it. And Nana would be like, oh, don't worry, I got it. Like, it's cool, I got it. And then one time, actually, I was like, can you actually break down what things are going to cost and...
What I got it means.
What does that mean? Because the time is getting close and I'm seeing that some things are not being taken care of. So I'm like, what does that mean? Then we had this conversation. That's when we realized that I got it and it wasn't got it.
It was a fake.
It was fake.
I got it.
It was fake. I got it, And so this money that I had stacked up, basically started minus, and then that stack was no longer a stack, guys. And I remember, that was when, the white wedding anyway, because, we got blessed in Ghana in June, June 11th. I actually remember that. I remember that day, it was Monday, that we got married in Ghana. But the white wedding, so right before the white wedding, I think the money had depleted, right? And I built that money up from ministering, and I was so proud of it, right?
Yeah.
And then it was basically I got it, and it was, and that's when I was like, what did I just sign up for? And then Nana got me a car. Nana got me a car, and the car happened to be just $500 shy of the amount of money that I had stacked in my account that I basically put towards, the wedding for the most part. And I remember driving the car, thinking to myself, so imagine I had gotten rid of the guy. No, but guys, I'm just telling you, this is the things that we do to ourselves, right? And this is why you need to listen to God. Because honestly, I feel like if it hadn't been for God, I probably would have bailed off of something stupid, like the other video I spoke about, like height. I would have bailed from the height. We wouldn't have even got into the money issue, But I remember sitting in the car and driving and thinking to myself, like, imagine I had just been like, this isn't working for me because of this, and hadn't listened to God, right? We are not in the position that we were in when we first got married. Like, things are way better. We're still working, where finances are concerned, where the relationship is concerned, where balancing work, life, baby, all the things. Like, we're still learning and still, even getting advice from others, who have done this before us and all of that. And I think that's also another thing, a healthy thing, to have community and see people who have also been through certain challenges and they've overcome, and they're doing amazing. They're doing amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, these people are now amassing wealth and stuff, and they came from places that maybe even worse than where maybe we're coming from.
Right.
So if they can do it, why can't we do it? So sometimes I feel like we also have to be realistic. That a lot of us in the Black community, in the African community, we didn't have certain things. So some of us have to band together, if it is in marriage, if it's in friendship, because you can have friendship groups where seeing your friends do well in certain things motivates you to also, like, get up off your bum and do, because it's like everybody's doing it. You start to feel like the loser in the group.
Proximity.
Exactly. So even if it's not just marriage, even if it's in friendship and all the things, and that causes you to get up and do better because you can see that other people have done it, that's also something that is encouraging, and we can do, as people, as couples, as all the things, and then, be the ones to build for others. Once again, I said, if you don't want to do that, that's cool, but it's doable, and we are clearly doing it, I feel like that was the last question that you asked.
Do you plan on doing another episode for this? Because there are some other questions that we didn't get to. But 2 last questions. How do I train my?
You didn't let me answer the question that you just asked. That would I like to do another episode on this?
Yes. Would you like to do another?
No, I finished. I won't do it again.
Okay. There you have it, guys. How do I train my vocals?
No, man, that's a big question. How do you train your vocals?
Sign up for
Okay. Drink water every single day, at least 2 liters, and get yourself some sort of vocal consistency, right?
Vobox.
So if it is you, sign up for Vobox. I'm not teaching at the moment.
Sign up for Vobox.
I'm not teaching at the moment. I'm not teaching, but something I've been saying something has come for like 3 years now, and I really apologize. But with the baby and all the things, there's something was not able to. Pacifier is coming. It's like.
AZ is helping us put it all together, so you guys have to.
She might be fine.
Yeah, she is.
Watch her nose.
Okay. Hey.
Okay. Yeah, but I've been saying something has come, something is coming. But I did my best. I started shooting the episodes and stuff when I was pregnant. But once again, I was pregnant. I was finished. I wasn't able to continue, and I wasn't able to finish. So by God's grace, I will be able to finish, and actually post. Set up this whole vocal thing for people. But yeah, drink water. Have a consistent routine. Where your voice is concerned. Even if you don't do something every single day, make sure before you sing, you warm up before singing for at least 30 minutes. That's what I'm going to say. At least 30 minutes to an hour. And then when you're done singing, warm down, guys. Warm down after singing so that your voice doesn't crash. And these are the main principles that I'm going to give to you. And sleep. Okay.
Yeah. There was a question about, we're not going to get to it, but it just got me thinking about how fast life has been since you moved from the UK, starting your new position as worship director. I think you've handled really, really well, like incredibly well. With obviously being a worship director, live recording project, and now baby's here. So that's one of the things that I wanted to highlight. That you've been incredible, like doing all of these things well, with very little to no, little to no signs.
Little to no what?
Little to no signs of slowing down. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And I think the question was like, how have you mentally processed how fast life has been? But we can probably talk about that in another episode.
Yeah.
Last question.
Hey, Nana.
Banku, fufu, wache, jollof, kenke, or TZ?
Huh? Wait, go for the list again.
Banku, fufu, wache, jollof, kenke, or TZ?
Banku and then wache and then
Okay, no. I got this wrong. Banku or fufu?
Banku,
Wache or jollof?
wache,
Kenke or TZ?
neither. Okay, that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, we're out. Bye.
Say bye, AZ.